Hey, welcome to the Honest Practice Blueprint podcast. I'm joined today with my friend Kubby Mann, who's an accountant here in Kamloops. Kubby is a chartered professional accountant and CPA and member of the MNP Private Enterprise Service Team in Kamloops. He has more than a decade of experience. He's worked on one-on-one with small to medium-sized business owners across various sectors, construction trades, professionals, and not-for-profits. He's helped with the navigation, accounting, tax, business planning challenges. Cubby's path into accounting started unexpectedly. He entered Thompson Rivers University planning to study science, but after getting involved in his parents' franchise business, he discovered he loved the problem-solving side of accounting. After earning his BBA in 2014 and articling at a Big Four firm, he joined MNP, where he's built a reputation as a jack of all trades who can help entrepreneurs tackle just about any financial challenge. Working in Kamloops' tight-knit business community, Kubby emphasizes building personal relationships with his clients. He's known for simplifying complex accounting issues and helping business owners truly understand their financial statements. He's also a board member of the Venture Kamloops and an active member of Kamloops Sikh cultural community. Hey, Kubby.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, of course. I like the Jordan poster in the background.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Keeps me motivated throughout the day.
Yeah, right. So what's your background and like what did I miss there with the bio and what led you to work with small businesses?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Mike. That's kind of a quick snapshot of kind of my career. I started in the pharmacy. I wanted to become a pharmacist when I first started at TRU there. And even at high school, took all the prerequisites. And then once you kind of get going into university, it's a different game. I feel like I just didn't enjoy the science route. I found it really difficult. And then having my family business kind of come up, my dad was a mill worker his whole life, so nobody really had like a business background, so someone kind of needed to kind of step in and kind of assist. So I think it kind of naturally just landed in my lap, and I really enjoyed it just from there. From there, I ended up going to a big four firm, as you mentioned. I articled with them. Got a good exposure to audits kind of early on in my career. Was as you're going through CPA, there's a requirement that you have to have a certain number of audit hours to actually get your CPA. So that was good experience there. As I finally got my CPA, decided the audit route's not really the best for me. So I ended up going to another large national firm in town here. Got good exposure with them. That's kind of when I first started working kind of more one-on-one with small to medium-sized businesses. I think I learned early on, like accounting can be very complex, but if you just make it simple, it's not crazy, right? You just kind of have to think of it as a business stand. So I had really good mentors there. They really helped me kind of take me under their wing and kind of show me the ropes and kind of what things you should be looking at. So I was there for, I think, 5 or so years, and then I had the opportunity to come over here at MNP. So
Yeah.
we're a younger firm here. We've only been around probably 8 or 10 years. So we had a lot of growth opportunity, and it's same thing, just hit the ground running, and we were able to really grow our practice in Kamloops. So it's been really nice.
Cool. What's kind of an advantage of like, say, going with a bigger company like MNP instead of a smaller accountant firm?
I think there's a lot more specialists usually on the team. So one of like in-house, we have a tax specialist. He kind of does a lot of complex tax transactions. So I think when you compare us to like a boutique firm, like there's so many different specialists we have on our team, which we can offer. I think like from a client's perspective, you have maybe 3 or 4 like partners potentially looking after a file, depending on the size. And just kind of having more knowledge, right? The more people to the table, more team, the more we can kind of help your business kind of grow.
Cool. Cool. When you're looking at RMTs kind of joining, what are the biggest accounting mistakes you see them make? Like new RMTs, they're getting into it, they're not quite sure what to do. They're trying to kind of record all their business transactions, but what are they missing?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mike. I think right off the bat, a lot of the first questions usually is, hey, should I be a sole proprietorship or should I be a corporation?
Oh, they're going with my other questions.
That's kind of the next one. Hey, so I'll say my spiel for that. Like that's usually the one right off the bat where there's typically a lot of bad advice on. It's not as complex as it thinks, as people think, right? I think sometimes I'll have conversations. It's like, hey, Cubby, I'm not making like 200 grand, 300 grand, and I don't think I should be incorporated. And that's just not the case. There's so many other factors you should consider, and we ran the calculations. If you can save about 40,000 to 50,000 in your corporation, you'll have enough money to get the benefits of a tax deferral in your corporation. Liability, there's not much risk for the RMT side. You guys are pretty good with your associations with insurance and stuff. So yeah, incorporations is one. I think it's sometimes record keeping as well as another big factor. Sometimes there'll be, you're just running everything through your personal account, or sometimes you're using your business card to pay for things in your personal card and you're not keeping receipts. GST, PST implications, we see that sometimes as well if you're selling like a product or versus a service, kind of making sure you have the right advice what you're charging your customer base.
Yeah. So all mistakes that I've made.
Sometimes, right? I feel like a lot of business owners kind of go down that path. And I think it's okay to make mistakes, right? It's just if
Yeah.
it gets good, right?
But if we could eliminate those and make your life easier and probably make our lives easier too.
Absolutely. I
Okay.
think if you're working with someone who knows these kind of things, like they'll catch them, right? And they'll kind of advise you, hey,
Mhm.
you should pull this route or you should maybe fix your invoicing and whatnot.
Cool. Cool. So what kind of separates a financially successful practitioner from those who struggle?
I think record keeping for sure. I think you kind of sometimes need a team to kind of help assist depending on how big your practice is. So having good data really makes like my job easier, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of garbage in, garbage out, right? If you don't have good record keeping, when we go to look at your trial balance and your expenses, and we're just kind of like, hey, this doesn't really make sense. We can't really give you good advice what to do,
Yeah.
right? So I would say that's a starting point. And I think being very active in the business. Sometimes we come across people who are just like investors and they have no idea what's going on in their business from like an RMT standpoint. That can kind of get a little bit confusing. So just kind of taking that step back and kind of learning about the business, right? Like, hey, why did my revenues decrease this month? Did I really have a slower month, or is something really missing? On the expense side, sometimes it's just maybe shopping things around, right?
Mhm.
Maybe, like for insurance, maybe it's getting 2 or 3 quotes versus 1 quote. So I think just kind of just normal business, right? Kind of taking it as a step back, not so much on the professional standpoint, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
just kind of like from a business perspective. Because I think similar to me, like on the accounting side, we get so hung up on our like rules and regulations and what we need to do. When we
Mhm.
look at the business side, you kind of just have to look at what doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Okay. What about with GST? Like some people, they start out as a brand new RMT and
Yeah,
you're not really supposed to collect GST until you've made it to 30,000 or something like that.
that's
Should they
correct.
just right away register for GST or should they wait or what's the advantages there?
I think so. There's pros and cons to each side. If you wait to register for GST, like once you hit that $30,000 mark, it's in any 4 consecutive quarters when you hit that for sales. If you wait to do that, sometimes you'll have a lot of expenses kind of going out where you're paying GST, right? So if you're not registered for GST, you can't claim those ITCs, what they're called, back. But most of the time, it'll be beneficial to wait until the $30,000 mark,
Mhm.
especially for RMT, because there wouldn't be any like crazy expenses. You know what I mean? I think rent would be the biggest one.
Yeah. And
So
some
yeah,
rent, if you're with a Cairo, they're not going to be doing GST. So
yeah,
it all depends, I think, with that. And like RMTs are really pushing to, because we're really the only in that field of chiro, physio, occupational therapist, psychology, acupuncture. We're the only ones who pay GST.
yeah.
So we're really trying to get that to change. Is it to our advantage to get rid of it, or do we have an advantage in some ways that we collect GST?
I think my personal opinion, probably not, right? It's kind of if you collect GST, you're just required to remit it back to the government.
Mhm.
I think it honestly just makes life a little bit more complex, right? It's not
Yes.
like a benefit you're receiving or anything. You're collecting on behalf of CRA, and
Mhm.
it's your responsibility to remit. So yeah, my opinion, it would be nice if it was just standardized across the board, right? And
Mhm.
then sometimes you don't have that confusion. Hey, should I charge GST? Not charge. So I think it would be a good thing for the profession. Absolutely.
I think so too. It's also a professional thing. Like we just aren't seen by the government as the same light as like a chiro or physio, which I think we kind of should be because we're in the same kind of business of helping people with manual therapy and hands-on and exercise.
Yeah. Is there a on that mic or?
Pardon?
Was there a timeline on that? Like when the GSC is looking to get standardized or?
Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to do it since I've been working. I've been working for 18 years, and it's been on the radar. We had some hoops to jump through. We've jumped through all of them. We had to
Yeah,
have a college in 5 provinces, which we've got more than now. And we're now waiting for a private members bill to go through. So, to be submitted and then hopefully voted on. So,
cool.
well, I'll keep you informed on that, but it might take 10 years. It might take two. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. When you're looking at write-offs, what do most businesses, or I guess with RMTs specifically, what are they missing with write-offs? Are there some things that they commonly try to write off that they can't, or there's some things they're missing that they should be writing off?
Yep. Good question, Mike. I think sometimes people get a little too aggressive with their write-offs, right? Like
Yeah.
they think like, hey, I'm just gonna start buying random things for the business, and that's a write-off. And I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, that's not a good way to go about it, right? I think
Mhm.
even if you're buying certain things to try to get a write-off, that's still money coming out of your business. So that's a common misconception I get. Like if you have a business expense, most of the time like you can write it off, right? Things that usually get missed are like travel. So
Mhm.
if you're an RMT kind of going to different locations to provide a service, that's your travel for providing that service would be a write-off. You
Mhm.
have a requirement to keep a logbook of your travel that you do from your personal vehicle. So most of the time, like I'll be honest, like I don't think many people do keep a logbook to see where they're traveling. Again, if you have a corporation and you're doing travel, that's kind of a little bit of a different story. If you have like a dedicated vehicle just for travel, that would be a little bit different than say your personal vehicle that you used some of the time for business and some of the time for personal.
For sure. Yeah.
Meals and entertainment, sometimes that comes up as well. Like I don't know how often you guys are kind of meeting with clients, but you know, if you're meeting with other professionals, maybe looking for guidance on your business and you're having lunch or something, like that's a
Mhm.
deductible expense.
For sure.
So kind of sometimes figuring out what's for the business or not. Generally, if it's a expense, you know, you're doing a benefit to the business or trying to get a benefit, either increasing your revenue or whatnot, it's usually deductible.
Okay. Okay. What about like, so someone just graduated, they just wrote their boards, or a brand new shiny RMT. Do they go to an accountant like right away and be like, "Hey, I want to set up myself as a sole proprietor or sole associate," or
Yep.
should they wait and then come to the accountant? Or is there any advice there?
I think the biggest advice there is have a conversation with an accountant,
Mhm.
whether um, you should incorporate right away or you should run a sole proprietorship. Generally, again, like I said, the pro to a corporation is the tax deferral.
Yep.
Say you make $100,000 or you're expecting to make $100,000 in your first year of business
Mhm.
net. If you can put away around $40,000 and keep that in the business, you will obtain a tax deferral
Yep.
and you'll be better off having a corporation
Okay.
rather than a sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship, if you're, let's say, again, that same example, if you're making $100,000 and you need that full $100,000 to kind of live your life, you have a student debt you're looking to pay off, that would be a situation where you'd want to run it as a sole proprietor. If you're
Okay.
pulling everything out of the business, you need it to day living, you know, that totally makes sense on that front. And things change too, right? Like RMT, like you can go to a corporation later as well. It's just kind of having that advice. When's the right time to make the change?
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. So if they're not really being like, their business can't save, they're not saving, they're just spending it as it comes in, then
Yeah,
maybe either change your business plan so that you're able to save,
yeah.
I think would be the better idea, or don't incorporate for that.
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
another point too is if you're looking to kind of have a successful business, like you're going to come to a point where you're going to be saving money, right? And sometimes going from a sole proprietorship to a corporation down the road is a little bit more complex, right? Maybe there's other tax and accounting that we need to kind of consider to do that change. Sometimes that's costly too down the road. So you could be, it could be a benefit just to incorporate right away where you think like, hey, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to, you know, make couple $100,000 and I know I'll be able to save it in the entity and this is kind of my retirement plan, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So and it's not too costly. Like it's about $1,800 to incorporate a company. if that
Yeah.
route makes the most amount of sense. Sole proprietor, there's nothing. You
Mm.
just do a registration and you're kind of good to go. But
Okay.
the key component is if you're able to save some money in the business. That's kind of the differentiation between doing a sole proprietor or a corporation.
Okay. And if they're saving money, they should be saving for taxes, right?
Saving for taxes, yeah, we come across that quite a bit where, first year business hits your bank account, right? It's not like you're getting a paycheck where your remittances are kind of being cut off. So it seems like the money is yours, right? And then you go throughout the year and then your accountant tells you, hey, you owe 10,000 or whatever. And you're like, hey, why do I owe this? So yeah, it's definitely a good idea to kind of keep some money aside, whether that be for GST or be for corporate tax, just so you're
How much should they set aside? Is there a percent that usually go
for
with, or
if I usually suggest a higher amount, right? So if you have a corporation, your tax bill will be about 11%. Um, if you're a sole proprietor, I think if you can save 20 to 25%, that depending on what your income bracket is, that should be more than enough, unless you're a high income earner. So yeah, I think the rule of
okay?
thumb, if you can save about 25% on the
All
side,
right.
it's
Yeah.
definitely
So
beneficial.
yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay. What about when you're saving? Should be saving like an RSP, TFSA, should be having saving in the business or saving personally, long-term retirement. What kind of setup do you think people should do there?
I think so. It honestly depends what you're comfortable with. SPs are a really good solution if you're a high income earner and you kind of want to get into a lower tax bracket. A lot of our professionals will do a plan with the RSP. A good way to like kind of save for retirement, right? You have some funds set aside, you can slowly draw down. I think the biggest takeaway there, Mike, is kind of having a little bit of everything, right? Making sure
Mhm.
you're maxing out your TFSA, right? A little bit of RSPs on the side as well. Some people, if you're in a corporation, some people like to do salary. Some people don't like
Mhm.
to do salary. If you do salary, you're contributing to your CPP, and CPP is kind of calculated as to how many years you've contributed over your lifetime. So that
Yeah.
will be your pension amount. Some people really believe in it. Some people don't say, hey, I have the money that I would rather put into the CPP account. I would rather just invest in myself, whether I do like the stock market or whatever. So I think just having a plan, but I think like the basic ones that are out there, like RSPs, FSAs, those are a great way to start. RSPs
Yeah.
definitely if you're a higher income earner. It might as
Mhm.
well get the tax savings on that.
And then the first time home count too, I guess would be a pretty good one.
Yep, that's another really good one. And
Yeah.
there's always a lot of like government incentives that kind of come out, right? They change year to year and they give you a little bit of increase. So I think the biggest thing is just taking advantage of it because it's there for a reason.
Oh, good to know. Cool. So when you're talking or you're seeing an RMT come in and you're watching how they're doing their books and stuff, what's a financial habit that a self-employed person should do?
I think a really good habit is like getting the books done, whether you do the
Mhm.
bookkeeping by yourself or you do hire a bookkeeper to kind of help you. I think that kind of makes you really accountable and kind of looking at your numbers saying like, hey, how much did I do this month? How much did I do this quarter? And what can I do to make the business better? Am I even making any money or like what's the point of all this? So I think understanding your numbers and where like if you're profitable or not, that's huge. We'll see it so many times, but people will just run their business and they're just keep it going. And you're just, yeah, I don't know, you're working like 70, 80 hours and you're doing it for nothing. Sometimes you just have to take a step back and be like, hey, what are we doing here? Right? Like,
Mhm.
why are we doing this? People kind of sometimes, like, I'm not saying business always works out, but I think it's very important to pivot as well, right? If
Mhm.
you're, if it's not working, something's not right. And like, of course, it takes a little bit of time to get everything going. But if you have a business for 10 years and you're not doing anything, chances are something's wrong with the business, right? I think a lot of people have trouble kind of walking away from that. And I get it, right? You get hung up into your business, you put a lot of effort in. But yeah, man, it's really it's kind of heartbreaking. I know we're talking about RMTs, but restaurants we see that all the time. Like I have clients that they're working 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, and it's just not working. And
Yeah.
you have conversations like, hey, why are we doing this? Or maybe we should do something else. And they're so attached to your business, right? So I think understanding the numbers is the biggest thing, and if something's not working, having the ability to pivot
Mm.
in a way that can profit, like make your business profitable.
Yeah. One thing that really helped me is just making a budget, knowing the plan,
Yeah,
knowing what my monthly debits will be, and I just logging into my bank account. I do it twice a day now, just to
yeah.
see what's going in, what's going out, so that I have a better understanding of what's happening there.
Absolutely. The more you're involved, the more you're looking at your numbers, the more
Yeah.
you kind of know what's going on. I really like setting goals as well.
Mm.
So if you have a goal like, hey, for this quarter, I want to do X amount and
Yeah.
top line revenue, I think those, like just kind of writing those down and kind of having that in the back of your mind while you're working towards something, that's really beneficial as well. We've done a lot of like coaching sessions with the firm and like
Mm.
external parties as well. And it seems to always have a really good impact. Just having some goals you want to do.
Sure, I did that this year. I set a goal of making 3K, and we just reached it.
Right on, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, so that was huge for us. And doing it in a way that we're not ripping people off and actually helping people, but that's a side effect of helping people, which feels really good.
Absolutely. I think to that point, Mike, like a community like Kamloops, like word goes around fast, right?
Yeah.
If you're providing good service, you're trying to help people and like kind of doing it at a fair, people really appreciate that, right? And
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
I think
Hamlet
where
is a town where if you just promise what you deliver, like deliver what you promise, and
yeah,
treat people well, you're going to do well. And I think that's good general advice for any business. Deliver what you promise. It doesn't have to be
ab-
going above to be successful.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a couple other questions. We're gonna pivot again. This is more like personal stuff.
Yep.
So, what is a book you could recommend everyone should read in kind of as a small business or even just personally?
Hey, I'll be honest with that, Mike. Don't get much time to read there.
Yeah.
So I
Or listen to, like a book to listen to or a podcast you really.
I think there's a lot of good business podcasts. I'm trying to think of some that I really enjoy listening to. I really like listening to different business coaches. Like if you go on YouTube,
Mm.
and I think kind of I always try to get like business owners and kind of listen to their experiences. So
Mm.
I don't have one in particular that is like my favorite, but if I just really like listening to people's experience. So business coaching on YouTube, kind of their perspective, I think Tony Robbins is the fellow's name.
Mhm.
He's a really good one. I like listening to his stories on YouTube there. And it's kind of cool, right? It seems like everyone's always in a funk, right? In the beginning, like you're kind of down and then something will happen, the light clicks, and then you kind of go on the upward trajectory. So I really like listening to stories like that because it's so relatable to me, right? I work with businesses all the time and figuring out like what to do that little light bulb, right? What to make it go off. So that would be my favorite, definitely. YouTube, different coaches, different business entrepreneurs, and kind of listening to their stories.
Very cool. Yeah, lots of good information. We're in such a cool world now where there's just so much information out there.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
it's you can always learn from somebody, right? I think
Yeah.
that's a big thing.
Yeah. What is something you bought for under $1,000? It's really helped your life or changed your life.
Under $1,000. The cliche one is a phone. Like I live on my phone all day, probably all night too. Uh, I enjoy doing like I do emails for my phone calls. I think that's one of the biggest things in business for me. Even if I'm not in the office, I'm at like in the car or something. It really helps me just kind of keeping things going. You know, texting clients and stuff. We do that all the time.
Mhm.
Business owners, you kind of need answers right away, right? And I think I think that kind of sets me apart from my peers maybe in the accounting world, just kind of being able to reply like in a timely manner or maybe instantly. So I would think anything technological, I could say laptop as well, right? Like I couldn't do my job without a laptop or so I really embrace AI, really embrace the technology, and I'm all about it.
Cool. Are you Android or are you iPhone?
iPhone,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm a Windows guy for the computers.
Yeah. I'm the opposite.
Is that right?
Exact opposite. But that's fine. Do you have any go-to meals or favorite foods?
I go to restaurants. We have a Moxie's here by the office. It's about a couple of blocks away. So I'll be there 2-3 times a week for lunch. That's I think easily become one of my favorite restaurants. I like I'm East Indian, so I like Indian food as well. So whenever I can get a home cooked meal from the wife or from my mom, that you can never say no to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have an East Indian wife, but I like the food too. I have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually when we're in Kelowna, there's a couple of really good spots out there that we'll make sure we'll try to get either
Mhm.
lunch there, dinner, or bring it back home.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Those are there.
Yeah. My Marcy does make a pretty good butter chicken, but that's like
Yeah.
my,
Hey, that's probably one of my favorites too.
we've had students like international high school students with us, and that's been the consistent favorite food that usually they've never had in their life. And we usually
Yeah.
send them home with a jar from Costco of buttered chicken.
Oh, is that right? Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Of course, right? Okay, one more question. Do you have a passion that's completely outside of work?
I think I got a couple passions. I think one is definitely helping people. I really enjoy helping people. I
Mhm,
think that's kind of where my love for kind of accounting kind of came into place with business owners, just kind of helping people progress their business. But before that, I just, I think the world, you hear some crazy stories in the world, and if you don't, we're here for a reason, right? And I think if one another can help each other, I think we can go a long way. So I always try to live by that.
mhm,
You I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Try to 3-year-old kind of instill those values. I think you can go a long way.
totally.
I think recreationally, I've really been into golf lately. The last 2 or 3 years, I would say that would be my new passion. I grew up playing basketball. That was my
Mhm,
passion growing up. And then as you get older and busier, you don't really have the time to do that anymore.
yeah.
I really enjoy golf, and it's again really tied into business as well.
Mhm,
So it seems like most of my things that I enjoy are tied to work, which is not.
yeah. Well, maybe one of your kids will be big into basketball, and you can coach them.
Yep. That that's the one thing I'm looking forward to. I hope we're actually getting the little guy like a little Tykes basketball hoop this year for
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
So hopefully he takes into that, and then
Mm,
it'll be fun kind of playing any high school
yeah.
sports and watching him do that. And
Yeah. I mean, my kids are very into sports, so that's a fun thing. But we've always just pushed that they have fun at
yeah,
first off, right? If they're not
yep,
having fun, then what's the point?
absolutely right. Like just enjoying a different sport, having good friends while you do it, right? I think it's a great.
Yeah, my youngest, he's in Abbotsford right now at a basketball tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, he's enjoying it a lot, but it's not his favorite sport, but he loves any sport. Yeah.
It's really cool now too. It seems like, when I was playing, like we would locally play. The
Mm,
furthest we'd ever go is like maybe Merritt or something. But
mm,
now it's like you go all over BC. It seems like, you're playing in the lower mainland quite a bit for any
yeah.
sport. I think that's kind of fun too, right? Like having a
Mhm.
trip down there and experiencing like Vancouver and whatnot. So that's really neat.
Yeah, you're building good friendships. You're staying at hotels without, you're
Yeah.
just your mom and dad. Yeah. Hopefully not getting into trouble.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool, Cubby. I really enjoyed this talk. I thought it was very informative. A lot of great advice there. And I think I'll get your information. I can put it out there for people if they want to get a hold of you. Anything else you want to add?
And no, thanks for having me, Mike. I enjoy the conversation. Like you said, if anyone's ever interested or kind of needs a second opinion on accounting or just kind of need advice for business, more than happy to help them out.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks a lot, Cubby.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Good. Okay. That